Kevin Wright's 18-wheeler roared down I-40, the Memphis skyline a jagged scar against the dusk. It was October 17th, 2010, and the 34-year-old black truck driver was hauling steel pipes to a warehouse off Elvis Presley Boulevard. His CB radio crackled with chatter, but Kevin kept it low, his mind on his wife Tanya and their two kids, Malik, 12, and Shauna, 9. He'd promised them a weekend at Graceland, a rare break from the grind. But as he pulled into a gas station in Fraser, a rough pocket of North Memphis, his life was about to explode. The neon glow of the station's sign flickered, casting shadows on a group of white guys in their 20s, their shaved heads and combat boots screaming trouble. They were circling a black teenager, maybe 15, shoving him against a rusted pickup. The kid's backpack hit the ground, books spilling. "You don't belong here, boy," one snarled, his swastika tattoo flexing as he raised a fist. Kevin's gut twisted. He'd seen this before, too many times, but something snapped. He wasn't just a bystander anymore. "Hey!" Kevin's voice boomed as he jumped from the cab, 6'3" and built like a linebacker. The group turned, their leader, a wiry guy with a scar across his lip named Jared Polk, sneering. "Mind your business, and asterisk, 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 asterisk." Kevin didn't blink. "Let the kid go!" The air thickened, the kid's eyes wide with fear. Jared laughed, pulling a switchblade. "You want to die for this, punk?" Kevin stepped closer, his fists clenched. He'd boxed in the army, and he wasn't backing down. The kid bolted, and before Jared could swing, Kevin grabbed his wrist, twisting until the blade clattered to the pavement. He shoved Jared hard, sending him sprawling. The others froze, then backed off, muttering curses. "This ain't over," Jared spat, scrambling up. Kevin helped the kid, Deshawn, grab his stuff and told him to run. Deshawn's mother, a nurse named Latrice, thanked Kevin the next day, her voice shaking. "Those skinheads been terrorizing Fraser for months. Nobody stops them." Kevin shrugged it off, but Tanya wasn't so calm. "You can't play hero, Kev," she said, her eyes sharp over dinner. "We got kids." He nodded, but the fire in his chest wouldn't cool. He'd seen too many Deshawn's, too many bullies like Jared, and too many cops who looked the other way. Jared's crew, part of a local neo-Nazi gang called the Dixie Wolves, didn't forget. On October 25th, Kevin's truck was vandalized at a rest stop. Tires slashed, N********* die carved into the door. He reported it to the Memphis PD, but Officer Greg Tatum, a white cop with a buzz cut, just scribbled a note. "Probably kids," Tatum said, his smirk saying otherwise. Kevin fixed the truck himself, $1,200 he didn't have. Tanya's worry turned to dread. "They know who you are, Kevin." They did. The Dixie Wolves were small but vicious, maybe 20 guys led by Jared and his older brother Caleb Polk, a 32-year-old ex-con with a rap sheet for assault. They ran drugs and extorted businesses in Fraser, hiding behind white pride rhetoric. Caleb had ties to bigger groups, and his crew had eyes everywhere. On November 3rd, Kevin got a call from an unknown number. "You're dead, right?" a voice hissed. He hung up, but the calls kept coming. Tanya started checking the locks twice, her hands shaking. Malik noticed, asking, "Dad, why you mad all the time?" Kevin couldn't answer. The first real attack hit November 10th. Kevin was unloading at a warehouse when 3 wolves jumped him from behind. He fought, landing a punch that broke one guy's nose, but a crowbar cracked his ribs, another his knee. They left him gasping, his face swollen, whispering, "Stay out of Fraser." Deshawn's mother, Latrice, drove him to the ER where doctors taped his ribs and gave him crutches. The police, Tatum again, called it a random robbery, ignoring Kevin's story. Tanya cried, begging him to quit. "We can move, Kev, anywhere." But Kevin's jaw tightened. "I'm not running." He went to a community meeting at Fraser Baptist Church, organized by Latrice and a pastor, Reverend Amos Bell. 30 people showed up, mostly black, a few Latinos, all tired of the wolves' terror. Deshawn spoke, his voice cracking, thanking Kevin. Latrice shared stories, businesses torched, kids beaten, cops doing nothing. Kevin stood, his ribs screaming. "We gotta fight back, together." The room clapped, but fear lingered. After, Amos pulled him aside. "Caleb Polk's connected, Kevin. Cops, maybe judges. Be careful." Careful wasn't enough. On November 20th, the wolves hit Kevin's house. Tanya was at work, the kids at school, when a brick smashed through the living room window, a note tied to it. "Your family's next." Kevin found KKK spray painted on his garage. He installed cameras, bought a shotgun, and told Tanya to stay with her sister in Raleigh. She refused. "This is our home." Malik, overhearing, started acting out, skipping school. Shanna clung to Kevin, asking, "Are we gonna die, Daddy?" He hugged her, lying, "No, baby." The Dixie Wolves weren't just after Kevin. On December 5th, they firebombed Latrice's car outside her apartment. She and Deshawn escaped, but their home was trashed, furniture slashed, walls defaced with slurs. Latrice moved in with her cousin, her nursing shifts cut because she couldn't drive. Reverend Bell's church was vandalized next, windows shattered, pews burned. The community fought back, raising money for repairs, but the Wolves' message was clear. No one was safe. Kevin kept working, his body aching, his mind racing. On December 15th, he saw Jared tailing his truck in a black SUV. He called Amos, who'd started documenting the Wolves' attacks, sharing them with a local reporter, Carla Hayes. Carla's article in the Memphis Flyer named the Dixie Wolves, linking them to hate crimes. It dropped December 20th and Fraser exploded. Protests hit the streets, 200 people chanting, "No hate in Memphis." Kevin marched, Tanya by his side, Malik and Shauna holding signs. But the Wolves hit back harder. On Christmas Eve, Kevin's truck was torched at a depot. The fire destroyed his rig and the cargo, costing him his job. The company blamed him, refusing to pay. Officer Tatum showed up, smirking. "Bad luck, huh?" Kevin's savings were gone, bills piling up. Tanya picked up extra shifts at her daycare job, her face drawn. "We can't live like this," she said. Kevin went to Carla, giving her photos from his cameras. Jared near his house, Caleb at the gas station. She promised a follow-up story, but warned, they've got friends in high places. January 2011 brought no relief. The Wolves targeted Malik. On January 12th, he was jumped leaving basketball practice, 3 guys beating him with pipes. His arm broke, his face bruised. Kevin found him in the ER, Tanya sobbing. Malik, high on painkillers, muttered, "I hate you, Dad." Kevin's heart shattered. He confronted Amos, demanding action. Amos had a lead, a cop, not Tatum, willing to talk. Officer Lena Brooks, black, 29, had seen Tatum shred reports on the Wolves. She met Kevin in secret on January 15th, her voice low. "Tatum's on their payroll. I've got texts, but I need more." Kevin gave her Carla's photos. The retaliation was swift. On January 20th, Lena's patrol car was sabotaged, crashing on I-240. She survived barely, her legs crushed. The police called it an accident. Kevin knew better. He and Amos leaked Lena's texts to Carla, who published them on February 1st. The story named Tatum and the Wolves, sparking outrage. Protests swelled, 500 strong, shutting down Fraser's main drag. The FBI took notice, opening a probe. Tatum was suspended, but Caleb and Jared vanished, hiding in a safe house. The Wolves went feral. On February 10th, they kidnapped Deshawn. They held him in a warehouse, beating him for days, carving snitch into his chest. Latrice called Kevin hysterical. He and Amos rallied 20 men searching Fraser's underbelly. On February 13th, they found the warehouse, tipped off by a junkie. Kevin kicked in the door, finding Deshawn tied to a chair, barely conscious. Jared swung a bat, but Kevin tackled him, breaking his arm. The others fled. Deshawn survived, but his mind was scarred, his voice gone. Latrice left Memphis, cursing Kevin. "You brought this on us." Kevin's family was next. On March 5th, Tanya was attacked at her daycare, a wolf slamming her head into a wall. She lost 3 teeth, her jaw wired shut. Malik and Shauna stayed with Kevin's cousin in Jackson, Mississippi for safety. Tanya, recovering, begged Kevin to stop. "You're killing us." He couldn't. The FBI arrested 2 wolves on March 15th, but Caleb and Jared were ghosts. Kevin tracked them to a bar in Whitehaven on April 2nd, the Rebel Yell, a neo-Nazi haunt. He went alone, a .38 in his jacket. Caleb was there, drunk, laughing. Kevin waited in the alley, his hands steady. When Caleb stumbled out, Kevin pressed the gun to his back. "Where's Jared?" Caleb spat. "You're dead, and asterisk, 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 asterisk." Kevin pistol whipped him, blood spraying, and dragged him to a shed. He beat Caleb, demanding answers, but Caleb laughed through broken teeth. "You can't stop us." Kevin stopped short of killing him, leaving him for the cops. The FBI nabbed Caleb on April 5th, charging him with hate crimes and racketeering. Jared was smarter. On April 20th, he firebombed Kevin's house. Tanya was inside, asleep. The flames spread fast, smoke choking her. Kevin, at a bar with Amos, got the call too late. He raced home, sirens wailing, but Tanya was gone, burned beyond recognition. She was 33. Kevin collapsed, screaming, as firefighters held him back. Malik and Shauna, safe in Jackson, didn't come to the funeral. "You did this," Malik texted. Kevin buried Tanya alone. 300 mourners at the church, Amos preaching, "Her blood cries for justice." Kevin broke. He sold the house, living in a motel, drinking himself numb. Carla's stories kept the pressure on, and by June 2011, the FBI dismantled the Dixie Wolves. Jared was caught in Arkansas, sentenced to 20 years. Tatum got 7 for corruption. The community rebuilt. Latrice's apartment fixed, Amos's church restored. But Kevin was a shell. He saw Malik and Shauna once in July, their eyes cold. "We don't want you," Shauna said. On August 10th, Kevin hit rock bottom. He drove to the Rebel Yell, a bottle of Jack in hand, planning to burn it down. Amos stopped him, wrestling the gas can away. "You're not them, Kevin." Amos dragged him to a meeting where 50 people shared stories of the Wolves' victims: Deshaun, Tanya, Lena. Kevin sobbed the first time since Tanya's death. He moved to Jackson in September, near his kids, working odd jobs. Malik softened, letting Kevin coach his basketball team. Shauna wrote him letters, her words sharp but healing. By January 2012, Kevin opened a small repair shop, writes Fix It, with Amos's help. Fraser's scars faded, new businesses, fewer slurs, but the Dixie Wolves' shadow lingered. Kevin spoke at schools, telling kids about Tanya, warning them about hate. His shop became a hub. Kids like Deshaun, now 17, learning trades. Kevin never forgave himself. Tanya's laugh, Malik's anger, Shauna's fear haunted him. But he kept going, for them, for Fraser, for every kid who'd face a Jared poke. The asphalt still held blood, but Kevin's fight carved a path through it. One wrench, one word, one day at a time. Kevin Wright's wrench clattered against a rusted engine block, the sound echoing in the cramped garage of Wright's Fix It on a chilly January morning in 2012. Jackson, Mississippi was supposed to be a fresh start, a city 200 miles from the ashes of Memphis, where Kevin, now 35, could rebuild with his kids, Malik, 13, and Shauna, 10. The shop, a concrete box off Highway 80, smelled of oil and hope, its walls plastered with drawings from Shauna and basketball schedules from Malik. But Kevin's hands, scarred from fights and fires, trembled. Memphis wasn't done with him, and the Dixie Wolves' venom had followed him south. Jackson wasn't Memphis, but it carried its own scars. The city's black neighborhoods, like West Jackson, were squeezed by poverty and neglect, while white suburbs thrived. Kevin's shop drew locals, mechanics, barbers, single moms, who respected his story. He coached Malik's basketball team, the Jackson Jaguars, and mentored kids like Deshaun, now 17, who'd moved to Jackson with his mother, Latrice, after the Wolves' terror. But Kevin saw the glances, heard the whispers. That's the guy who fought the Nazis. Trouble follows him. Trouble did. On February 5th, 2012, Kevin found a swastika scratched into his shop's door, the metal gouged deep. He sanded it off, telling Malik and Shauna it was just vandals, but his gut churned. The Dixie Wolves were gone, Caleb and Jared Polk rotting in prison. But their allies, a splinter group called the Southern Iron, were rising. Led by Ethan Crane, a 28-year-old with a buzz cut and a Confederate flag tattoo, the Iron was smaller but deadlier, running guns and meth through Mississippi. Ethan had been Jared's cellmate, and Kevin's name was a curse in their circles. Kevin called Reverend Amos Bell, still his anchor from Memphis. Amos, now 55, had opened a Jackson chapter of his anti-hate group, Mississippi Rising. "Ethan's crew is watching you," Amos warned over the phone. "They know what you did to the Wolves." Kevin installed cameras, kept his .38 loaded, and told Malik to stick close. Shauna, sensing his tension, stopped sleeping, her nightmares filled with fire. The first attack came on February 20th. Kevin was closing the shop when a Molotov cocktail shattered the window, flames licking the walls. He grabbed a fire extinguisher, choking on smoke, and saved the shop, but the damage cost $3,000. The Jackson PD, led by Officer Mark Dillon, a white cop with a thin smile, called it a prank. Kevin showed him camera footage of a masked figure, but Dillon shrugged. "Can't ID anyone. Stay out of trouble, right?" Kevin recognized the dodge. Dillon's accent matched Tatum's, and his badge hid the same rot. Malik started rebelling. He skipped practice, hung with older kids, his anger spilling over. "Why we always gotta fight, Dad?" he snapped on March 1st, his arm still scarred from his Memphis beating. Kevin had no answer. Shayna clung to him, her drawings darker, all flames and shadows. Kevin spoke at a Mississippi Rising meeting on March 10th. 100 people packed into a church basement. Deshaun, now taller but haunted, shared his story, his voice breaking. Latrice, still blaming Kevin, didn't come. Kevin's speech was raw, They want us scared. We're not. The crowd cheered, but fear was winning. Ethan Crane struck on March 25th. Kevin was driving Malik to school when a truck rammed his pickup, forcing him off the road. 3 Iron members, masked, dragged him out, their boots slamming his ribs. "You should have stayed in Memphis," one growled, carving iron into his forearm with a knife. Malik screamed, trying to fight, but a fist knocked him down. They left Kevin bleeding, Malik's nose broken. At the hospital, Malik wouldn't look at him. "I hate this," he whispered. Kevin's ribs were cracked, his arm stitched, but the pain was deeper. He went to Carla Hayes, the Memphis reporter now in Jackson, giving her the footage. Her article, published April 5th, named the Southern Iron, linking them to Ethan. Protests erupted, 300 marching through West Jackson, chanting, "No hate, no fear." Kevin marched, Malik and Shanna beside him, but the Iron hit back. On April 15th, they trashed Latrice's new apartment, smashing windows, stealing her savings. Latrice called Kevin, sobbing, "You're a curse, Kevin, stay away!" Deshaun Loyal moved in with Kevin, sleeping on a cot in the shop. The police were worse than useless. Dylan, now openly hostile, tailed Kevin's truck, pulling him over for broken taillights that weren't broken. On May 3rd, Kevin caught Dylan meeting Ethan at a gas station, their handshake too familiar. He told Amos, who'd found a new ally, Sarah Coleman, a 32-year-old black FBI agent investigating hate crimes. Sarah met Kevin on May 10th, her eyes sharp. "Dylan's dirty, but we need proof. Get me something solid." Kevin rigged a recorder in his shop, hoping Ethan would slip. The betrayal came from within. Deshaun, broken by years of trauma, was desperate for cash to help Latrice. On May 20th, Ethan offered him $500 to sabotage Kevin's cameras. Deshaun, tears in his eyes, cut the wires. On May 25th, the Iron raided the shop, smashing equipment, pouring acid on engines. Kevin fought, breaking one guy's jaw, but a pipe cracked his skull. They left him unconscious, traitor painted on the floor. Deshaun confessed, sobbing, "I didn't mean it, Kevin." Kevin sent him away, his voice cold. "You're done." The community was fracturing. At a Mississippi Rising meeting on June 5th, a barber named Tyrone Ellis stood up. "Kevin, you're bringing death to us. Stop this." Half the room nodded, their fear louder than their hope. Amos tried to rally them, but Kevin felt alone. Malik ran away on June 10th, crashing with a cousin in Memphis. Shauna stopped talking, her drawings blank. Kevin drank, his .38 a constant weight in his jacket. The Iron went for blood. On July 15th, they ambushed Sarah Coleman running her car off a bridge. She drowned, her body pulled from the Pearl River. The FBI called it an accident, but Kevin knew. Ethan, with Dylan's cover. Carla's next story on July 20th named Sarah's death as murder, sparking riots. West Jackson burned, 1,000 marching, looting stores. Kevin didn't march, he was hunting. He found Ethan's safe house in Rankin County on August 3rd, a trailer guarded by 2 Iron goons. Kevin, armed with a crowbar, took them down, his ribs screaming. Inside, Ethan laughed, a gun in hand. "You're pathetic, right?" Kevin charged, the bullet grazing his shoulder. He broke Ethan's wrist, smashing his face into the floor. "For Sarah," he growled, leaving him for the feds. Ethan's arrest on August 10th cracked the Iron. The FBI, shamed by Carla's reporting, raided their network, nabbing Dylan and 15 others by September 1st. But the cost was unbearable. On September 15th, Malik, back in Jackson, was shot outside a corner store, a stray bullet from an Iron loyalist piercing his heart. He was 14. Kevin held his body, screaming as Shayna watched, her eyes empty. The funeral, September 20th, drew 2,000. Amos preaching, Carla filming. Shayna didn't speak, her hand cold in Kevin's. Kevin was done. He sold the shop, gave the money to Shayna's trust, and moved to a shack in rural Mississippi. On October 5th, he sat with a bottle and his .38, ready to end it. Amos found him, his voice fierce. "You're not done, Kevin. Shayna needs you." Kevin wept, the gun falling. He returned to Jackson on October 15th, adopting Shayna legally, coaching her softball team. Mississippi Rising rebuilt, naming a scholarship after Malik. Carla's documentary, released October 30th, 2013, told Kevin's story, going viral. Kevin never healed. Shauna's silence, Malik's blood, Tanya's screams were his chains, but he fought. For her, for Jackson, for every kid facing an Ethan Crane. The asphalt was stained, but Kevin's defiance carved a legacy, one life at a time. But he kept going for them, for Fraser, for every kid who'd face a Jared Polk. The asphalt still held blood, But Kevon's fight carved a path through it, one wrench, one word, one day at a time. Kevon Wright's boots, crunched on the gravel outside Wright's Fix It, the Jackson, Mississippi sunrise painting the shop's battered sign in gold. It was October 30th, 2013, and Kevon, now 36, was a man carved by grief. His wife Tanya and son Malik were gone, burned and shot by the Dixie Wolves' hate. His daughter Shauna, 11, was his only anchor, her silent stares and dark drawings a constant reminder of what he'd failed to protect. The shop, rebuilt after the Southern Iron's attacks, was a fragile sanctuary, but Kevon's hands, scarred from fights and fires, gripped his wrench like a lifeline. Jackson was home, but home was a war zone, and the ghosts of Memphis were stirring again. West Jackson pulsed with life and pain. Mississippi Rising, led by Reverend Amos Bell, had grown since the Southern Iron's fall, with scholarships, youth programs, and protests against hate. Kevon coached Shauna's softball team, mentored kids like Deshaun, now 18 and working at the shop, and spoke at schools about Tanya and Malik. Carla Hayes' documentary had made him a local hero, but heroes bled. Shanna, haunted by Malik's death, barely spoke, her grades slipping. Kevon tried to reach her, but his own nightmares, flames, gunshots, Malik's eyes, kept him distant. The new threat emerged in November 2013. The Southern Iron was gone, but a darker group, the White Dawn, rose from its ashes. Led by Nathan Voss, a 40-year-old former cop with a shaved head and a Silver Cross necklace, the Dawn was sophisticated, hiding their swastikas behind heritage rallies and encrypted forums. Nathan, fired from the Jackson PD for brutality, had trained with the Iron and swore to avenge Ethan Crane. Kevon's name was their rallying cry, his shop a target. Amos warned him at a Mississippi Rising meeting on November 5th, his voice grim. "They're organized, Kevon, smarter than the wolves. Watch your people." Kevon tightened security, new cameras, a steel door, a second gun. Shanna noticed, her eyes narrowing. "They coming back, Daddy?" Kevon lied, "No, baby." But they were. On November 15th, he found a note taped to the shop's door. "Your blood's on you." The handwriting was neat, the paper scented with cologne, a sick touch. He didn't tell Shauna, but Deshaun saw it, his hands shaking. "This like Memphis, Kevon. I can't do this again." Kevon gripped his shoulder. "We're stronger now." He wasn't sure he believed it. The first attack hit on December 3rd. Kevon was fixing a car when a drone crashed through the shop's window, exploding in a cloud of tear gas. He coughed, eyes burning, dragging Deshaun to the door. Outside, 2 White Dawn goons in masks sprayed White Dawn rules on the walls. Kevon swung a pipe, cracking one's arm, but they fled in a truck. The shop was ruined. Tools melted, parts trashed. The Jackson PD, now led by Officer Paul Kendrick, a white cop with a politician's smile, called it vandalism. Kevon showed him drone parts, but Kendrick smirked. "Tech's hard to trace." "Keep your head down, right?" Shayna's fear turned to anger. She stopped playing softball, her drawings now knives and skulls. On December 10th, she screamed at Kevon, "Why can't you stop them?" He had no answer. Mississippi Rising raised $5,000 to fix the shop. But the community was fraying. At a meeting on December 15th, a teacher, Denise Carter, stood up. "Kevon, you're a magnet for this. Step back." Amos shut her down, but the room split. Kevon felt the weight, his resolve cracking. The White Dawn got personal. On January 5th, 2014, they hacked Kevon's phone, sending Shauna texts. "Your dad's dead soon." She showed Kevon, her hands trembling. He changed her number, sent her to stay with Amos's sister, but Shauna's silence grew heavier. Deshaun, loyal but scared, started drinking, his work sloppy. Kevon leaned on Carla, who was digging into the Dawn. Her article, published January 20th, exposed Nathan's police ties, sparking protests. But the Dawn was ready. On February 3rd, they targeted Amos. A car bomb detonated outside his church, shrapnel tearing through his leg. He survived, but his preaching days were over, his limp permanent. The police blamed gangs, but Kevon knew Nathan's work. Mississippi Rising faltered, members dropping out. Kevon visited Amos in the hospital, his voice low. "I'm sorry, Reverend." Amos grabbed his hand. "Don't quit, Kevon. They win if you do." The betrayal came from Deshaun. On March 1st, Nathan offered him $2,000 to plant a tracker in Kevon's truck. Deshaun, drunk and broke, did it, tears streaming. On March 5th, the Dawn ambushed Kevon on a delivery run, dragging him into a field. Nathan, calm, pressed a blade to Kevon's throat. "You're a dead man walking." They beat him, boots, chains, a bat, carving Dawn into his chest. Kevin blacked out, waking in a ditch, his body screaming. A farmer found him, calling 911. At the hospital, Kevin lied to Shanna, saying he'd crashed his truck. She didn't believe him. Deshaun vanished, guilt driving him to Atlanta. Kevin rebuilt, his chest stitched, his spirit fractured. Carla's next story on March 20th linked the Dawn to a judge, sparking FBI interest. Protests swelled, 2,000 marching, Shanna holding a sign, for Malik. But the Dawn was relentless. On April 10th, they poisoned the shop's water tank, sickening customers. 3 kids landed in the ER, their parents blaming Kevon. The shop closed, his savings gone. Shanna, now 12, ran away on April 15th, leaving a note, "I can't watch you die." Kevin found her at a bus station, her eyes red. "I'm scared, Daddy." He held her, promising lies. The police, led by Kendrick, harassed Kevin, raiding his motel room, planting drugs. On May 5th, he was arrested, charged with possession. Sarah's replacement, FBI agent Marcus Lee, bailed him out, saying, "Kendrick's with the Dawn. We're close." Kevin gave Marcus his camera's footage, catching Nathan's truck near the shop. The FBI raided a Dawn safe house on May 20th, arresting 10, but Nathan escaped. The Dawn went nuclear. On June 15th, they kidnapped Shanna from school. Kevin got a video. Shanna tied, gagged, Nathan's voice, "Come alone or she's dead." Kevin drove to a warehouse in Yazoo City, his .38 shaking. Inside, Nathan waited, Shanna on the floor. Kevin dropped the gun, charging. He broke Nathan's nose, but 2 goons tackled him, their knives slashing his arms. Shanna screamed, biting a guard, giving Kevin time to grab a pipe. He swung, cracking skulls until Nathan fled. Kevin untied Shanna, blood soaking his shirt, and carried her out. Shanna was safe, but broken. She stopped drawing, her voice gone. Kevin moved them to a safe house, Marcus guarding them. On July 10th, the FBI caught Nathan in Louisiana, charging him with kidnapping and murder. Kendrick was arrested, getting 12 years. The Dawn crumbled, but the damage was done. On August 3rd, Shanna overdosed on pills, her note simple, "I'm sorry, Daddy." She was 13. Kevin found her, too late, his screams tearing the night. The funeral, August 10th, drew 3,000, Carla's camera rolling, Amos limping, preaching her light lives. Kevin was a husk. He burned the shop, scattering the ashes, and left Jackson. On August 20th, 2015, he stood at Tanya's grave, Malik's, Shanna's, his .38 heavy. Marcus found him offering a job with an anti-hate task force. Kevin refused, driving north, no destination. Mississippi Rising carried his name, schools teaching his story, kids wearing Right Strong shirts. He didn't see it. His family was gone, his fight a pyre. But somewhere a kid like Shanna drew again, and Kevin's blood on the asphalt wasn't for nothing. If Kevin's loss broke you, if it screams for justice, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. We're here to tell the stories that scar, to honor those who fight until they fall. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and let's keep their truth alive. See you in the next one.